You're listening to Mr. Allard's Neighborhood. Small town feel with big time ideas. After all, you are entitled to Brad's opinion. Here's your host, Brad Allard.
Well, another great week, another hot week. We have the Petty family, Jason and Kelly. They're going to talk about gun responsibility, right? And, because you had an episode in your life that was pretty frightening, and I think we need to talk about that. We'll get to all the details, but how y'all been? It's been a little while since I've seen y'all. Y'all staying in trouble?
Well, that's relative.
Now, y'all dated in high school, did you not?
Yep, high school sweethearts.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. How did you pull that off, I wonder, Jason? I mean, really? Clean living and good looks?
I called
I
him.
sat next to her in Miss Wurzbach's class.
Well, that's enough, huh?
Well, I called him. Miss Wurzbach had us do those kindergarten pals where we were riding with kindergarten pals and we were going to meet them. And so we were supposed to get them a little gift. And I called and asked if he wanted to go shopping with me.
I've been one smooth ride ever since. True love. Now,
Absolutely.
Now, y'all live in Burleson, but Joshua ISD. Is that how it works? So that's why. So when we're talking about you living in Joshua, it's really you live in Joshua ISD. Like
Yeah,
so
I
many
pay property
Burlesonians.
taxes to Burleson.
You say that with a bit of gritted teeth.
I mean, I'm just saying.
You're just saying. You want to pay more? Is that what you're saying? No. Well, it's interesting you bring that up. I'm going to already promote my show tomorrow. Kim Jones is on tomorrow, and she is.
I literally just watched the podcast you did recently with her.
She's on tomorrow too.
That's awesome.
And for somebody that didn't drink coffee, she's certainly a live wire. But it's going to be interesting because now she's already gone through a few of these protests, and she'll have some stories for us. But that's going to be a big deal. But that's more for tomorrow's show. We're going to talk about y'all's issues. But before we jump into all of that, we need to talk about our sponsors. Our place where I bet y'all have been before. Mm-hmm. Which one do y'all go to? The one here or the one in Cleveland? Which one's closer?
The one in Burleson.
Burleson, yeah. Okay. Well, that's good because that's where we were, and it's always wonderful. What I like about it, among other reasons, is they have a very consistent staff. You go in there over a period of time, you're going to see the same wait staff or whatnot, or front desk help or whatever you want to call it, the hostess stand. I like that. This morning it was just funny because we go every other Monday and they just walk. You want this? You want this? You want this? Oh, you changing your order? Well, that's unusual. But I mean, they know what we get, and so it's just very hometown, that kind of thing. Also, Gina's Pizza. I hope y'all have tried that before. I really do like the pizza, and I'm not just saying that because Otto pays the bills here, but I'm just saying it really is good. It's a great place. They have chess night tonight. Tomorrow night is going to be bingo night, and Wednesday night is karaoke. Y'all like to sing, do you? No, you don't sing at all. No, Jason, I can't see you singing. No. I do like that shirt, though. All right,
Thank you.
Yeah, you wore the right shirt to this program. Also, my friend John Williams, Old Pro Roofing, 817-734-2756. The thing about it is, you say, well, it's really dry, it's really hot, there's no real need to worry about a roof, and then it rains, and then you find out you really should have had it inspected. But it's more than that. It's just the insurance companies are very difficult about old damage. So if you have it routinely inspected, you can make a lot easier case with the insurance companies that this is new damage and whatnot. So he came out to my place about 6 weeks ago, took him 10 minutes, said, I'm fine, and moved on. No cost, no hassle, no upsell, no doomsday scenarios or anything like that. So, if you ever had a roof replaced, you know what a hassle that can be. You're shaking your head like you know what that's like.
We just did that in April, I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it is a beating, isn't it? Also, my friend Jeff Keli, if you're thinking of moving in this area, this is the guy to talk to. 817-781-0546. He's with the Wethington Agency, and he's probably one of the very best real estate people I've met over the years because he does a great job of marketing the houses that are listed. He gave us some stuff at our last BNI meeting, a very nicely done brochure for a house he's trying to move, and that's the kind of service you get with Jeff. He's here in town too, and so you're not dealing with somebody on the phone all the time. I'm still old-fashioned. I like to sit across the table from somebody and do business with. I know that's old-fashioned. But
No,
it's,
I mean, my younger son, that he's all about that. Anytime he's had anything with college that he has a question, he drives to the Cleburne campus and
really?
asks.
Well, that's
I'm
good.
like, okay.
Does he get the help he need?
Yeah, he usually gets better help than when he has called.
Well,
So,
I believe in class-related stuff, online, it is what it is. I've taught it during COVID and all this, but you don't get the full benefit that a classroom experience would give you. And the same thing with Jeff. I mean, he's going to show you houses. You're not going to be doing everything by email and all this other business. So anyway, and the Burleson News Express. This is a printed paper. You're all old time, not old, but old time Burleson residents. Remember the Star?
loved it.
Yeah, and your mama probably cut out the articles about, when y'all were in school for some event, sports or whatnot. Rod Lewis is trying to bring that back. And I should have brought it with me, but yesterday I get the Dallas paper, Dallas Morning News, and they only print Wednesdays and Sundays. They don't, the other days it's all online. And I still like reading the Sunday paper. And they had a big article about the need for local journalism, because the article in this week's News Express is this nice article about somebody who saved a young person's life. And, you don't get that as a local person, and you don't get that from online stuff. I mean, Facebook is what it is, and it could be kind of a jungle. But, I mean, but to have local news like that, and then the week before it is all about, what was going on locally, and maybe it was 2 weeks ago, at 4th of July parade, things like that. And you just don't get that. And I miss the Burleson Star.
I do too.
What we used to do when we get the copy at the school, first thing we do on Thursdays, it used to come out like 3 or 4 days a week, is to get the Thursday edition, had the arrest reports, and we put it in the library. Yeah. And we'd go and read. All the teachers say,
When we first graduated, that's the whole reason we wanted the Burleson Star.
That's how we kept up with our class.
Yeah, that's right. I knew that guy would get busted, or I can't believe she did that, and all this other stuff. And it might sound petty, but behind the scenes, you see these behind the scenes things for like Hard Knocks and football and whatever. If they had a behind the scenes of BHS, would that be interesting viewing? Anyway, Burleson News Express, pick one up about 50 places here in town. I get mine at the Dreams Coffee Shop. Lastly, True Climate, Heating and Cooling, 682-244-2019. Will Cobb and his sister Emily Cobb. Did you graduate with Will? He's around your area. He and Emily graduated. They're one of the graduates from the old high school, as we say, but maybe they're a couple years after you. I don't know.
I don't know. My dad, he sometimes would do some business with the Cobbs.
Yeah. Well, it's a different Cobb family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because we have to make that. You're talking about Matt Cobb, and he's taken over. No, this is Will Cobb, and I don't know if there's any relation there. So it's a bunch. I know Cobb's Plumbing has been around.
Yeah.
This is not, it's a different family.
Oh, okay.
682-244-2019. Have your air conditioner inspected, because if it's about to go out, or you need a minor adjustment or something like that, it'll save you a lot of money. And they also have this plan, $99 a month. What am I saying? $99 a year. Whew. That was almost a bad slip. $99 a year, and it'll help give you discounts on repairs and inspections and whatever else. That's $99 a year. Anyway, so let's talk about your story. Y'all live in the west part of Burleson, right? And I'm not really familiar as much with the story, but I know you've talked about it before, Kelly.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So why don't we go back to the day it happened and what happened? So I'll just let y'all take it from there.
So that weekend we had actually started a new garden. The boys went in to grow some vegetables and stuff like that. So we had started that. And I was out there, moving some things around, and my mom had come over to check it out, and she had told me that I couldn't plant that next to that, that kind of thing.
All right.
So I was just kind of out there doing that, and I had sat down at the table just to talk to her for a bit, and all of a sudden I heard, if you've not ever heard it, it makes almost an electrical sound when a bullet goes directly over your head. Mm-hmm. So I started hearing that, and I turned to my mom, and I was like, we've got to go. Mm-hmm. We get inside. That's gunfire. I got to call 911. So I start, open the door, trying to get the dogs in. I turn to help get my mom in because she's handicapped and can't get up easily. And right when I turned to help her, I was struck in the hip with a 243, which is a hunting rifle. They were specifically using a Texas Edition antelope bullet. And at that point, I don't even know how my mom got inside, some kind of intervention, but I was able to walk in. I was able to call 911 myself because, ironically, I was also testing. I'm an avid gun owner and concealed carry, and I was testing a new holster that day. So I happened to have my phone right in the pocket of my holster. And I called 911. We, finally got the paramedics came. Luckily, the Johnson County station out across the toll road on 913 was eating down at a restaurant that was very, very close from my home. So they were first response. I did have to constantly ask them to not go in the backyard. But after that, once the cops got there, unfortunately, one of them, on his body cam footage, you could actually hear the bullet go right past him. So at that point, I was able to tell them exactly where I knew it was coming from. They were able to go and they were able to stop the shooting. So essentially, someone was target shooting without a backstop. And that is a big focus of what I'm trying to spread awareness about. Proper gun shooting. Because you're legally allowed to shoot on your property. I have no qualms with that. If you're over 10 acres, that's not against the law. But there were multiple laws broken in the day of my incident.
Do you live on 10 acres?
No, we live in the city limits.
Right.
And we live on a city lot.
Right.
And one of the laws that was broken is they were shooting from a county into a municipality, which is against the law in the city of Texas, in the state of Texas. They also shot across a public roadway. So
this wasn't like next door. It was a long distance thing
I was
going
shot
on.
at 500 yards. The bullet and rifle that they were using is lethal up to 1.5 miles, but I was hit at 500 yards.
Well, then I assume they took you to the hospital.
Yes.
How long were you there?
I was there 3 days. Thankfully, it wasn't as serious as it could have been. At first, they were thinking about life flight because my leg had turned blue, but it was the angle that I was setting. So they ended up just transporting me in a regular ambulance.
Jason, where were you in this?
So I was working, and at that time, I was in an outside sales role. So I was up at a hardware store in Fort Worth, and she called me, and she actually sent me a text message, and she said that she got bit by a bunch of fire ants.
Yeah.
And so then she called me, and I'm thinking she's calling me about the fire ants, and then I get a call that she's been shot, and that was just the most shocking thing to hear.
Whenever I called you, the very first words I said to you were, "You need to come home. I've been shot."
Right. Yeah.
Like I didn't say anything else. I just said, "You need to come home. I've been shot."
I just one minor thing. You texted about fire ants
before.
Prior, because I was working in the garden and I was moving something, and I had gotten in a bed of fire ants.
Okay. Well, that happens to my wife all the time. It seems like.
Yeah.
But I thought, were you sent the text?
I sent
prior,
the text asking, where's the fire ant treatment?
Yeah.
I've just got eaten up by fire ants. And then it was only about 20 minutes later.
Mm-hmm. And so you went to Hughley, I guess?
No, we went to JPS.
JPS, all right.
Gunshot is a trauma 1. So you have to go to trauma 1. There's only JPS and Harris Downtown are the only 2 trauma 1 hospitals. And they asked me where I wanted to go. And I said JPS because
it's closer.
Well, that's also growing up. That's trauma. That's where trauma goes. And they have some of the best doctors, And so we went to JPS. I got lights and sirens, which I had never had before.
All right.
But yeah, we arrived. And when we arrived, the paramedic goes, "You're about to get real popular." So he was right. We came in and all of a sudden it was crazy swarm of people.
And this person doing the shooting, I'm going to assume he did it without malice, but he was certainly very careless, right?
Yeah, so they weren't using a backstop at all.
Right.
And they were shooting in the direction of a neighborhood.
But who are the people that are doing this? Just some dumb
I don't
kids
necessarily,
or what?
No, I don't necessarily want to give their names. They still live on the property.
No, I'm not asking for names, but they were.
Actually, 3 of them the 3 that were shooting were Tarrant County jailers at the time.
Oh, my Lord. they should know better, right?
Right.
Right.
You
One
want
of
to
them
think.
was a Marine veteran, actually. So
What were they thinking? I mean, were they just thinking that they were such great shots? They didn't have to worry about stray bullets?
There is a large wooded area, and they literally thought trees were enough.
when they were shooting at a refrigerator, and when we went through this, we heard some of we have their statements, and they were saying they weren't familiar with the area. They claimed they didn't know there was a neighborhood where we were. And one of the key points that if you're shooting on someone's property, the first thing you should do is look up a map of where you're at. Know what's around you.
Well, despite the fact that to get to the property they were on, they literally drove past my neighborhood to get there. So they definitely did know.
Well,
And the owner of the property was there.
anything happened to these guys with the police or the legally?
So that is part of my
That's what I thought.
ongoing thing.
I remember when this happened, Jason in particular had some statements, you might say,
Right.
had opinions about how unhappy he was with not so much Burleson PD, certainly, but with
The overall.
the overall dealing of this and all the ambiguity of the issue and not whatever else.
well,
And
Well, go ahead.
that's part of why when it was time for the most recent election for DA, that's why I made a point to meet with our thankfully newly elected DA, Timothy Good. I went to one of his rallies and I did ask him some questions just because I really felt like that the DA's office is where the ball had really been dropped.
it's a county matter or a city matter?
Well, the property was in the county and I live in the city, so it's a little bit of both.
Right.
And that also gets into like who is really in the jurisdiction of the whole thing. And realistically, since the incident occurred in the city, but it started in the county, it's actually both of theirs. Regardless, the DA at the time, thankfully, is no longer there. I even begged him to please remove me from the equation because there were 3 other laws broken in the process of me being shot, despite the fact that it entered my body. So there were 3 other laws that, as a gun owner, I know you just can't do. That's against the law. And he didn't choose to do anything based on any of them.
Well, to be frank, I heard more than one complaint about a former DA about lack of prosecutions in various areas.
Yes.
And I had Mr. Good on the show when he was running against Mr. Hanna, and that's when all these stories I wasn't aware because I haven't dealt with the DA, and all these stories were coming out about just very lax prosecution of what they consider to be non-serious crimes. But I can't imagine somebody being shot as a non-serious crime.
He didn't find it an important thing for him.
Yeah, right.
And that was the issue with Mr. Hanna. He very commonly found other people's things not important.
Yeah, yeah.
So that I'm thankful because when I was able to speak to Mr. Good, he definitely was willing to listen, definitely willing to hear me out.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that went a long ways.
Well, I remember after the show we talked, and he said that was going to be something if he's elected, that he was going to take certain issues more seriously than had been taken before. And
He certainly has.
And I think you see that now.
Yes.
I think there was a successful prosecution of a similar
Yeah,
incident.
actually, ironically, one of my neighbors got pulled for jury duty on a case where someone was on their own property and they fired into a ground and it ricocheted and went into their neighbor's property and hit a tree that they were standing by. And the former DA would not have prosecuted that in the past, but Timothy Good did. And thankfully, one of my neighbors happened to get pulled for jury duty. And because of that, they were able to tell my story in the juror's room, and they were able to do a successful, unanimous guilty.
So these 3 gentlemen that were arrested, I guess.
No,
No, weren't arrested. No. Okay, that's the point then, I guess. They weren't even arrested.
right.
Nothing really happened to them, right?
That we had to do it civilly.
Did you do that?
Yes.
Right, yes.
Okay, and to get satisfaction there?
Not really.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Yeah, it's wonderful.
It's honestly, my lawyer was very, very willing to go as far as he absolutely needed to. He was willing to even do an actual court case, but it had drug on for a while. And when it came to a conclusion, I was exhausted from the whole scenario.
What was the excuse that these alleged perpetrators, let's use alleged because I don't feel like going to court myself,
Right.
but these alleged perpetrators, what did they say about how this happened? They just were shooting and it's your fault you got in the way?
They were just target shooting, and they just claimed that they didn't know how close they were to the neighborhood, which is not true. Any map would show them that. But they also totally thought that the trees in the refrigerator were going to stop that. They are slightly up on an elevated surface. And so the way that it kind of came down towards me. But it is actually, I'm thankful that there were 3 fences it went through before it hit me.
Wow, these guys must have been using some pretty high-powered stuff.
Well, 243, and it was an antelope round.
Yeah.
Is specifically a Texas edition PowerPoint, and it's meant to take down deer and antelope at about 1,000 to 1,500 yards. So, and I was shot at 500 yards. So,
How long did it take for you to recover?
So I was in the hospital for 3 days, and then they released me, and I did have to sleep in a recliner for about 6 months because I just couldn't
Oh my!
lay flat or do anything like that. But the harder part, a lot of people, this is kind of off, but a lot of people were concerned I would have PTSD or whatever. I don't. Clearly, I have no qualms about that. But I didn't need to worry about that because I was going home to the same place it happened. I had to step outside my back door where I was standing when it happened. And I feel like, just having to do those small things helped me be able to be like, you know what, this is a horrible thing that happened, but it's definitely something that I think I was the right person because I'm willing to talk about it and educate.
It just sounds incredibly careless. I live out in the country a little bit.
It is incredibly careless. And that's what I always, to me, a lot of people will conflate gun safety with what I'm discussing, and I'm not discussing that. I'm discussing gun negligence and shooter safety because that is a very big difference.
Well, you said earlier that you are gun owners.
Yes.
I am as well for home protection. I don't go hunting. I just use it for home because I'm out in the county a little bit. I live right outside the city limits, but I have to rely on the sheriff's department. And you hear shots going off all the time in our area, but we have some pretty good-sized properties. And it was interesting because my wife yesterday says, who's going to be on the show tomorrow? She has a casual interest in the show. And I was telling about the story. I said, we hear this all the time. How come, why is this allowed?
Well, one key point is that shortly after Keli was shot, probably within a few weeks, we had another incident in the neighborhood on the other side of the neighborhood where a neighbor that lived right next door to the neighborhood was shooting a .22 at knockdown targets. And they were ricocheting off the targets. We had a neighbor he's a veteran. He was a medic in Iraq and Afghanistan. And he posted that he heard a round go over his head. And he went over there to address it with the neighbors directly. We had the cops come out. It was a big incident, and this was just a couple weeks after she got hit.
Well, I have never really worried about it because this gunfire I hear in my neighborhood, so to speak, I know that, there's a lot of these homes have like 10, 20 acres and whatever else. But, and we live in a place that probably would not be in the line of fire, but I guess it brings home the possibility.
Well,
of that happening.
And that's part of the huge thing. I think the biggest people don't understand what a proper backstop is. And that's a big deal because I do know that there are definitely, the NRA puts out all these expectations on building a proper backstop. If you're going to be shooting a handgun, it's between the height of it should be between 12 and 15 feet, I believe. And if it's going to be a rifle round, it needs to be 20 to 25 feet. For that backstop. Also, the slope of the backstop itself plays a part because if the slope isn't built correctly, it'll ricochet the wrong way.
Well, I have done some practice shooting, but I do it in a gun range. Right? There's a pretty good one, here in town, and also there's another one in Benbrook I've been to.
Yes.
And I really have no desire to practice my mediocre gunmanship in any other place in a secure environment where you have experts to kind of help you out with that. I wouldn't just go out in the woods and start shooting.
The biggest thing is when it happened, it was very frustrating whenever we did start putting out with the city and the BPD. It's a campaign called Your Bullet, Your Responsibility.
I was going to go into that. You've been kind of an advocate for this, haven't you, in public?
So Colin Gregory, which I think he's been on your show as
Several
well.
times, yeah.
Yeah, love him.
Well, he's recovering.
Yes,
Right.
which actually is one of the reasons Jason decided to reach out to you, because we were in the process of restarting up the campaign again, because there was another incident recently in my neighborhood where a bullet went through someone's window.
Oh, good heavens.
So-
sounds like you live in downtown Chicago or something.
Right, and I live right here in beautiful Burleson,
Beautiful
Texas.
Burleson.
But so that obviously raised, number one, I'm not going to lie, I did feel guilty when it happened, because I know that seems weird.
Well, yeah, why? Because you stood in the way of a bullet? Oh,
No,
well, how dare you?
I felt guilty when it happened to my neighbor recently, because we had done some things with the campaign. I had done some town halls. We had done some other things. And then I kind of just sat quiet for a little bit.
Well, you had a life to live, right?
I did.
You have young children.
It's not my whole focus of my life. I have other things going on.
How many boys do you have?
I have 2 boys.
Any girls?
No.
Well, 2 boys is equal to about 6 boys, actually. So.
Yeah. So, well, and we'll come back to this, but that's actually one of the reasons my younger son wants to be an EMT, is because I was shot. So, but I had always re-put out my video, and I had occasionally shared some things. I always hashtag Your Bullet, Your Responsibility, just to try to keep it kind of in there. But I hadn't really focused on it or gotten more attention brought to it, and it's mainly just because life. And when this happened, I felt guilty because I knew I could have done more. I also could be. I'm not trying to say anything, but I have lived here a very long time. So there's quite a few people that I do know that I could reach out to.
Sure. Oh, absolutely.
Which could help spread information, right?
No,
it's all
absolutely.
about spreading the information.
When you live here a long time, you're going to have a lot of acquaintances,
Right.
It's amazing, kind of on a side note, because y'all were in schools like all your class, and your general age group is like, I can't wait to get the heck out of Burleson, but there's so many that move back afterwards. So
Right. Exactly.
But anyway, that's another deal. But Your Bullet, Your Responsibility, it's not just, it's a program, right? I mean, you have like a presentation.
So Colin came out, we did a video explaining exactly what happened to me. He was able to put an overlay of where my house is in relation to where the shooting occurred, and was able to draw a map of exactly how far that bullet could have impacted somebody and killed them, which was well beyond where I was hit. We put a lot of information as far as, making sure that there's proper backstops, making sure that we know not just how far your bullet can go, but what is beyond your backstop if you're using one. And if you miss, what could that impact? Because that's a big deal.
But see, you're not actually advocating a change in law, because it's already against the law what happened.
All of the laws. So they shot into a municipality. They also shot across a public roadway, and they were 500 yards from a school. Because
oh my, which school?
Joshua, the ag building is at the intersection where their property is versus my neighborhood. It's at the intersection of that. And then also the middle school's practice field. If you're standing at my back door, you can see their goalposts for their practice field. Yeah. So that practice field is the exact same distance as my backyard. And my children then later had said that there were a number of times where on the practice field they had hit the deck.
Oh, for God's sake. That's craziness. How old were your kids when this happened?
So William was in the 4th grade. William was in, Samuel was in.
Would have been 14 and 12.
Yeah, okay, because one of them was at the middle school and the other one was at Caddo Elementary still.
That's, what time of year did this happen?
It happened a week before my birthday. It happened in April.
Okay.
So Yeah, that was my birthday present that year.
You could have done without that one.
I could have.
Well, see, the thing about you talk about gun safety and all this, there are rules that be followed, and that's one reason, among others, I only shoot at a gun range.
Right.
Because I don't want this to happen. Because I'm not very skilled at it. I'm not an expert shot. I mean, that's why I got the kind of rifle or the shotgun I do, so I don't have to be one, or Robin doesn't have to be one, and so we didn't want stray bullets to go anywhere.
Right. Well, one of the issues that the sheriff explained to us is because that people call on people shooting on their private property all the time. The issue is for the most part, they can't go on the property without probable cause. Mm-hmm. So he likes to bring up to me that one of the things whenever I do discuss it, people are like, well, they're going to bring up the Fourth Amendment, which is true. But I think the importance is when you're calling about something like that, the wording is important when you're using it because there is probable cause if you hear bullets going over your head. There is probable cause, but there's not probable cause. You can't assume they're not shooting unsafely. So that is the one thing that I need to figure out how to get the word out about, because something needs to change in the aspect that it just because someone's shooting on their property does not mean that someone, when they call the sheriff can't go on there. They can't go on that property.
Our friend Alex Phillips is watching. He says hello.
Oh,
Hey,
hi.
Alex.
Yeah, he's on here both on the screen, and he's been in the studio several times, but he's on the screen a lot.
Well, he is Mr. Burles.
He
Yes.
is. That's what I say. I always enjoy the shows, but he, said, tell us what's going on, and before everybody else, no, not going to do it. But anyway, so would you find it worth your time to contact, say, Helen Kerwin or Phil King or?
So that I think is my next step. So when this kind of going back around, when this new incident occurred, I decided to reach out. We reached out to Chief Cordell. We circled in Colin, I believe, at that time, because we knew he's with the BPD now. At the time when he did my video, he was with the city.
Right.
Now he's with BPD. And
by the way, I saw him about 2 weeks ago.
oh, how's he
you
doing?
He's going to take a little while to recover, but he's okay. But he was in the hospital for 50 days, right? And
Right.
so he lost some weight and all this. But I saw him, and when he's back on duty, he'll I don't know when that's going to be, but it's going to be a little while.
We were literally supposed to meet with him the week that happened.
Yeah.
So that we could discuss, getting more of the campaign started and everything like that. So whenever that happens, first of all, I tried to reach out to him and he didn't reply, which was very unusual for him.
Yeah, very much so.
And I started getting really, really worried. And I was like, oh my gosh, something has happened. I know it. And then we ran into Phil Anderson and he confirmed my fears. But at that point, I was like, okay, well, obviously he's got to get well, but I need to pivot. So I just started talking to Chief Cordell again, and he brought somebody else in to do. They've been putting out some literature and some Facebook posts, Instagram posts, just trying to get the word out on Your Bullet, Your Responsibility. They've had some beautiful work. We also really emphasized to him the importance of getting that out because people tend to fire their weapons a lot on holidays, and the 4th of July was coming up.
Exactly. We had that happen in our area.
Yes.
We didn't know if it was fireworks or gunshots.
Well, the sad part is people will fire into the air, but what goes up must come down.
Well, you hear of these stories like stray bullets hitting some kid in Chicago. And I don't, they're not even the target of the shooter.
The sad part is my neighborhood seems to be an epicenter because 1 year to the day that I was shot, someone came out in my neighborhood and found a bullet lodged in the hood of their car because someone had fired a weapon into the air the night before. And I know that sounds so weird because all of these incidences keep happening in my neighborhood, but it's not the only neighborhood it's happening in. What people do not realize because people think, oh my gosh, but we really initially put out a flyer. There was something in the Burleson Now magazine. We sent the city or the BPD, I don't remember, but they actually sent postcards out to
Burleson PD.
Yeah, so anyone that lived in the county that had property touching the city, they sent postcards to every resident that surrounded the city limits because it is illegal to shoot into the city, but that's still happening. And
how many people have come up to you and said, "Hey, this is I have a story similar to yours"? More than a few, I'd imagine. About not so much being shot, but having gunfire going off in their neighborhoods and things like that.
Yeah, I've had it a lot.
Yeah.
That not just Burleson. And this is the other part. I did actually recently reach out to Timothy Good, and we'll see what goes with that to see if we can get some leverage. I mainly reached out to him because of all the fun excitement that's going on in the current sheriff's department.
Yeah.
I didn't really know who to contact as far as that's concerned to get the word out.
Just a minute. Josh, what's going on?
I'm working on it. Hold on.
Are we off the air?
Nope, still going.
Okay. I don't know what this is about, but it'll be on YouTube, certainly. Anyway, we'll just continue. But we're still rolling, right?
That is correct. Yeah.
Okay, good. Anyway,
So I just don't know a good contact point to talk to someone in the county. It's obviously something that affects more than just the city of Burleson residents. I'm certain this is something that affects county residents. Every other city in the county, I know and have had, well, I've actually had a lot of people actually in the county reach out to me more than in the city because they've been like, well, I came out and there was a bullet in the side of my house. I mean, this is just, it's bizarre that people just do not think about where they're aiming their weapon.
Yeah. My son is much more experienced in handling guns, and so he's taught me some things about it, and he's very, very careful. I don't think he shoots outside.
I don't know
and he's very careful about all that. And he taught me there's certain rules you need to worry about.
Well, I definitely think times have changed. I mean, I started shooting when I was like 7 because my dad was a hunter. And he was going to have a gun in the house. He was going to make sure that I could know proper gun safety and all of those things. So I do think that that's missing a lot because there are so many people that are more just, I absolutely will not be around that, but they don't understand that it's a very vital tool. And it's a vital tool in the aspect of gathering your own food to protecting your own home. So both of those things are super important and shouldn't be taken away from people. I just need people to understand that if they're going to do these things and have these weapons, they need to understand what's the correct way to handle that.
Do you have any plans or like another group you're going to speak with? You got like a tour you're going to take or something like that?
Not at this point.
Yeah.
That is probably something Colin and I were going to talk about. We haven't done that. Basically, at this point, because we are pivoting, like I said, Chief Cordell has made sure to get some more literature out as far as that's concerned. And so now I'm trying to figure out where to go next.
Well, there's several groups that probably could use this message. A lot of civic groups like the Rotary Club,
right,
or the Lions Club, and any gathering, church gatherings, all those things. They could probably hear this. I mean, because that is an important message.
The thing is I didn't think that. Obviously, this isn't the path I thought I was going to be taken.
Right.
It was obviously chosen for me, and that's cool. But and because so many people, when something like this has happened to them, they're not willing to talk about it. They're not willing to talk about it at all. Sometimes it makes them nervous, or they don't want to have the questions that come to them that they may feel nervous about answering, or they just don't know the answers.
Well, you don't seem to have any problems at all relating the story, which is a great thing. Do you still have, I don't know, flashbacks or anything like that?
I haven't had any. I did have some nightmares for about the first 6 months or whatever after. And I would wake up and he would go, "What is happening?" And I was like, "Oh, I was just shot in my dream." But
yeah, that's not something you want to hear from your wife.
No, it isn't.
But after that, I literally had my bullet tattooed on my wrist, and it says "Stronger" right above it. It has the date on it, and I did that because when I shake someone's hand, they can see it, and then they can ask me a question. I wear the caliber around my neck every day. This is the exact caliber I was shot with, because I invite the questions. Because anybody that will ask me about it, that's a chance for me to educate.
Do you have any plans like public office or going, serving in that capacity?
So many people have asked me that. Yeah. I haven't had any plans at this point, but I don't know where this is going to lead me. And like I said, I kind of sat quiet on this whole thing for a little while, and until this year, which it happened in
2018.
No. My incident happened in 2018, but the new incident happened, I believe it was like in March. I want to say it was in March. But anyways, and of course, some of my neighbors didn't even know that had happened to me. That's how quiet I had gotten about the subject. And so, of course, then I immediately reached out to that neighbor and said, hey, I'm so sorry this happened. I know who to contact. We will get we need to get more campaign out. We need to get this addressed. And so that's kind of what fueled this whole thing. But now I don't want to stop talking about it because I don't want anybody else to have that happen to them.
You ought to talk to some school groups as well. I mean, it'd be very interesting for these young people who probably, many of them grow up in a house that have guns or whatnot.
I've actually thought about getting my license to be a concealed carry instructor because, he and I both got licensed. Unfortunately have let mine lapse, but it's not necessary anymore. Because we are a right to carry state. So it's not important to have it, but I have talked to him about wouldn't that be something, that would be an avenue because that would also help spread the message. But I honestly have spent a lot of time just running into people and then they ask, aren't you the girl that got shot?
What a thing to be known for, huh?
You brought up a good point about when you were talking about going to a gun range and shooting. I know a lot of people shoot on their own property because they feel more comfortable. A lot of times if you go to a gun range, you'll have somebody next to you who might not be acting safe. So a lot of times people feel comfortable on shooting on their property, which we don't have a problem with, but we want to help people do it safely, and knowing your target and knowing what's behind it is one of the basic rules of gun safety.
And that's the biggest thing I say to people over and over again is know your target and what's behind it.
It's interesting because it's quite obvious you're Second Amendment supporters and whatnot, and you have no intention of denying people that. You just don't want people to be careless like they had been,
right.
And they still are.
And that's why a lot of people would be like, initially when it happened, I was educating people a lot that would come up to me and be like, I can't believe you were a victim of gun violence. And I'm like, I wasn't. I wasn't a victim of gun violence at all. I was a victim of gun negligence. And there is a very big difference because it wasn't in a confrontation situation. It wasn't in a dangerous, it wasn't any of that.
Well, this is a message that really people need to hear. It really is, because the people that think on 4th of July, they're just firing their pistols in the air, which happens not as much in Burleson, but like South Fort Worth, I heard all sorts of stories. And also in Dallas, you hear in certain neighborhoods that's how they were celebrating, and it's like, don't you know that's a dangerous thing?
So interestingly enough, a couple months ago, the city of Fort Worth also started their own campaign, trying to get the word out about gun, shooter safety and things like that, because they believe that they've had some incidences as well. I don't remember the name of their campaign, but it is similar to Your Bullet, Your Responsibility. It's slightly different.
Well, I hope that you're able to, put this message out there to a lot of groups, because a lot of people need to hear this, and because it never really occurs to people when they're shooting on their own property where that bullet ends up, and
right.
It's obvious that could be some pretty dramatic repercussions if they're not paying attention.
Yeah, in fact, we had some family pictures made a few weeks ago, and this lady's house was not far from our house, but it was in a completely different neighborhood. And she talked about when she moved in, she found a bullet in the side of her house. But thankfully, she knew Keli, and she knew how to talk to her neighbors and say, hey, look, I live right here. I found a bullet. You need to shoot safely. And her neighbors changed their behavior, started shooting into a berm, and actually rarely shoot anymore.
Yeah, they said, well, we've been shooting here forever. And she goes, cool. So were the people that shot my friend. So
oh boy.
let's talk about that. And so, that definitely makes me happy that I was able to help people change behavior.
If you need a little closer, because if you sit back, you start echoing a little.
Sorry.
But anyway, before we leave, though, I want to talk about it kind of completely on a different topic, because I've been pushing it all summer. That's with the food pantries.
Oh, yes.
And yesterday I read in the paper that food prices have gone up 33% in the last 6 years. That's a lot. And my bills show it. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm sure y'all, as two boys, I'm sure they're eating you out of house and home, and you probably still put it away, And so the food pantries need your help because I went into Promises 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago to drop something off, and it was standing room only, and that's just what happens in the summertime. So guys, I know it's a tough time for a lot of people, but for some people, they're right on the very edge. And so let's support the food pantries. I'll have Promises on in about a month. I had last Tuesday, had Amber and Keli from the Harvest House. And then in about, what is this, the 27th, about 2.5 weeks, I have the new director of the Crowley House of Hope, because they also, it's like they go through this really rushed time in the summer, and they get a little small break, and then you get closer to the holiday season. You have all these other pressures to try to keep up, and so y'all need to do what you can to help them out. Well, also we have a couple other things going on. This is also Christmas in July for Next Step Women's Center. One of my favorite outfits. They're collecting toys for their little boutique they have. This boutique isn't something that's open to the public. If you want to buy something from them, you go to Rachel's Hope for that. But this is for the clients, both men and women. I've learned over the years that it's both. They go to use their services, and they go to these classes, and they have this long list of classes that take, and you get baby bucks, and you get to go buy toys and such. And you know how it is. I just mentioned the food and diapers and all that's very expensive and a constant expense. Sometimes toys get left behind, and so there you go with that. Also, Keli left us with this with the Harvest House. They're doing a very patriotic donation drive, 1776, about a neighbor in need. They do a lot more than just food and stuff like that. They also do a lot of financial assistance. So anything that you could do to help would be great and whatnot. So we're gonna let y'all finish. Y'all finish the show for us. What do you want us to know?
I don't know. We kind of talked about a lot of that.
Yeah, I know, but just kind of summation. I'm sorry, did I throw you a curve there?
That's
okay.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm sorry.
No, the main thing I just really need to get the message out. Make sure that we know the direction we're shooting, what could possibly be hit. Even if you have a backstop, you can miss.
I think if you had, maybe you had to put together with Billy Cordell, whom I have a great deal of respect and regard for. You could take not only like a traveling show, but have like a formal presentation, with slides and whatever else.
Yeah.
And I think you'd find some takers, not just in Burleson, but or Joshua, probably all over the county, probably even into Tarrant County.
I think the key thing to remember with the growth in the area, there's so many neighborhoods that just pop up, and they're in the middle of rural areas where I'm sure people, we're shooting, and they're used to doing that, and they need to be aware of where neighborhoods are, where residential areas are, and just be safe about what they're doing.
When my video initially came out, I had a lot of people that would say, well, I've been shooting on my property for years. I've always shot here. Okay, cool. But what's next to your property? Did that change?
Yeah.
Because
exactly
it probably
right.
did. And that's what it is. My neighborhood is only 15 years old, I think.
Right.
And so what had been next to the property changed.
Well, I can't imagine using my property. I live on about an acre, but I wouldn't even consider target
you
practice on my house.
Legally be able to do
No,
that.
I'm in the county though, right?
Yeah, but you have to technically 10 acres.
Well, I'm just saying, I would even if it was allowed, I wouldn't do it because my neighbors are also probably well armed, and I don't want them,
Right. Well, and the sad part is, had I been a horse, there would have been maybe prosecution.
No, of course. Well, I'm glad that you haven't turned. Well, let's go ahead and put it this way. I'm glad you turned into what could have been a tragic situation into something that's helpful, beneficial, educational for a lot of people. And not just, in a formal sense, but, a lot of people now are aware of this that they wouldn't have been aware before. And I'm glad that y'all have taken something that could have been really, really horrific and turned it into something good.
Well, I'm so glad that you were willing to talk to us on your show.
We can do it again in a few months if you want to. If you start a more formalized presentation, if you have slides and all this stuff, we can do it again.
Like I said,
Yeah.
waiting on Colin.
Well, yeah, right. Well,
Because
it's
he's kind of the one in charge of all of that at BPD.
yeah, he's been on the show several times with all these programs, and he is the wizard with all that.
But I don't want him to
social
come
media.
back too soon. I want him to have a full recovery.
Well, I think he will. He was very optimistic and positive when I saw him a couple weeks ago. So I think he'll recover. You just don't get over those things overnight. So there you go. But no, I enjoyed the show. I learned some things. One thing I learned is there's some gray area that needs to be clarified here. And the fact that these guys basically could get away with something like this. That's just not right.
Even in my case, when we were trying to get it presented, there was some incidences where I couldn't get some of the information, and Jason had reached out to Paxton,
Right.
and that he helped us get some of that information. So I don't know. Have been talking to him about reaching out to, Ted Cruz, Paxton. Helen Kerwin. And we've talked about all of that because it is not just something that's going to happen in Texas. This is something that happens everywhere. So there might be something that needs to be addressed nationwide.
Well, I'll bring it up with the mayor. He's coming on the show in about 3 weeks, and that might be something Burleson PD could really push as a city.
And because it was a different mayor at the time, who, like I said, we did do the town hall with. I don't know how much Fletcher even knows about it. I'm sure he knows something, but yeah.
I've gotten to know Chris pretty well over the years from the show and other places and other city events, and I promise you, this is something he would take seriously.
I feel that
would want to do something with.
I see him. I see the way he handles other things that have been going on in the city, and I think he does an amazing job. So I definitely think I haven't reached out to them recently because I had been focused on trying to get with Chief Cordell and do some things that way.
Well, he'll be a very receptive audience. It's good. Josh, I guess we straightened up some of those technical issues, right?
We did, yeah.
What happened?
Oh, just those gremlins in the router. You know how it goes.
Got to keep it interesting.
Well, the thing is,
Got to keep me on my toes.
the
That's
Facebook
right.
version is going to be there's going to be a gap in it, but the YouTube version will be fine because they run simultaneously. So there you go. Like I said, tomorrow I have Kim Jones. I better buckle up because she's a live wire.
Yes, but she's really informative.
Very much so, and this is something she's very passionate about. I mean, I enjoy her company. When she's on the show, I just say, take it away. And she has a presentation and all this other stuff, and she's going to have some reports, if you will, about some of the protests that they've been doing in other counties, not just in Johnson County. You just mentioned y'all's bill. It is something in it.
Because we watched the last episode you did with her, I said to him, maybe we should reach out to her.
Yeah, well,
I tried protesting our property taxes one time myself, and it did not go well.
well, it helps because they know all the ins and outs, and we don't.
Right.
And she does, and so, and there's all that, and so I don't know if I should protest my taxes or not because I get the bill and okay, whatever. It goes through escrow, right? And I'm not really having a comparison from the previous year, but maybe we should start doing that. So this is one thing I learned from her. Josh,
Yes, sir.
try to stay out of trouble today, if you will.
I'll do my best.
I know. I bet you have a whole arsenal of guns in your house, right? Anyway,
I actually do.
what now?
Not an arsenal, no, but
So you are a Second Amendment advocate to some degree.
I don't like using guns, but
Well,
I'll use it if I have to.
Yeah. Well, I got my rifle for self-protection. I'm not going hunting with a Mossberg shotgun. It's for home protection.
We lost ours in a tragic boating accident. I think on Bailey Lake or something
You
like that.
dropped it in the lake.
Yeah, they lost them all.
No.
Oh, okay. All right, fine. All right, we will see y'all tomorrow at this time, and y'all take care. Thanks for coming, guys. I appreciate it. It's good to catch up with y'all.
Thank you for having us.
Sure. All right, bye-bye, y'all.